Hey guys, so our first dorm DIY is going to be dip-dyed ombre shoes. So you're going to need something to cover your carpet with so you don't mess up your dorm. I used plastic bags. And then I also used liquid RIT dye. I chose fuchsia. Then you just need a pair of cheap sneakers. I got mine at Payless. And then you're going to need a bowl. Now we're going to make the dye, so head off to your dorm bathroom. Get on in there. Then you're going to fill the bowl up in the sink with hot water. Just have it on the hot water setting and fill it as much as you can without it spilling when you take it out. Then I just used the coffee mug to put a little bit more water in it so it's a little more full. Next I put maybe almost half the dye in there. So just be careful that you're pouring it over the bowl and you don't get any dye on the sink. The janitors would not like that. Then I took a wooden pencil and stirred the dye in so it was all mixed in there. Just use whatever you have laying around. You know, we're balling on a budget here in college. I just had paper towels nearby in case I did get any dye on the counter. If you do, just wipe it off quick. It should come off. And your dye should just look like a dark Kool-Aid. Then head back to your room and you're basically just going to dip your sneakers in the dye. Now the only way to really do this I found was to hold them in there. So I just sat there and held the shoes in the dye for like 10 to 15 minutes. Once that 10 to 15 minutes was up, I decided that I wanted to spread the dye up the shoe a little bit more. So I just took some pieces of paper towel and a water bottle, and I just wet the part of the shoe that didn't have dye on it so the dye would spread through there. Okay, so then I just spread the dye up the shoe using some of the dye that was already soaked into the shoe, and then I also have a paper towel that I'm dipping into the bowl of dye itself. So I'm just going to continue to spread it up the shoe so that it really looks like ombre, and you can spread it as high as you want. I think I did it a little bit more than halfway. So yep, there I am, spreading the dye. And that looks pretty good, so I'm just going to let them sit in there and try and prop them on the bowl so that they don't float. So then I just made this little hanger contraption that is hanging off of my towel rack, and I hooked the shoes on there and put a shoebox lid under the bowl so that the top end of the shoe is in the dye. Then I left it in there for like an hour to soak. After an hour, I took them out, and make sure you dump out the dye that's in your shoe because there will be some sitting inside there. And what I wanted to do is kind of touch up the ombre and make it spread up the shoe just a little bit more. So I took an old sponge brush that we had sitting around, and I just painted on the dye that was in the bowl on the tips of the shoe to make it a little darker, and then carefully on the back of the shoe so that the light pink could spread up a little more. I also have a clean sponge brush that doesn't have any dye on it, and I just have a bowl of water sitting next to me so I can use that one to blend that fine line between the light pink and the white. So I just did that to both shoes. So some dye will get on the rubber sole of your shoe, but when you're done dyeing them, just take a paper towel and wipe it off. You might have to use some water, but it should come off. So basically, when you have the dye spread up the shoe to your satisfaction, you can call it quits and prop it up against the wall, but be careful not to get any dye on your walls. And make sure that you prop it up so that the tip is facing down. Okay, so now I'm pouring the actual concentrated dye onto my sponge brush. I made sure to do it over top of the bowl so that none of it got on the carpet. And I'm just painting that onto the tip of my shoe because I really wanted the tip of the shoe to be darker. So I painted that on and let it drip off over the bowl a little bit and just propped it up against the wall. And then did the other one. I did use a little bit of the diluted dye from my bowl to kind of balance out the dark and the light on the shoe. Alright, when it's blended to your satisfaction, just prop it against the wall and wait. So I let them sit overnight, and in the morning they were completely dry on the inside, so just be careful of that if you want to wear them right away. But this is your final product. Now the dye that I used caught the fabric a little strange and it faded a lot, but I actually like the way it turned out. And these are great shoes to wear in the spring or summertime to add a little pop of color to your outfit. So this was a relatively easy DIY, and it was really good to do in the dorm because it didn't take up much space, and it was really inexpensive, so it's good for broke college students like us. If you're looking to spice up your outfits for the springtime, because spring is coming up, thank gosh.
And we hope you guys enjoyed our first dorm DIY featuring Carly. Yay! And there'll be many more to come, so make sure you tune in, and thanks for watching.